A warm welcome to Anuradha Vedic Astrology. Today we are going to talk about Saturn and its placement in the 6th house and the result it shows. But before that, a big thanks to all of you for liking, sharing and subscribing to our YouTube and Spotify channels and writing in your suggestions and your comments there. If you haven't subscribed to us, please do, and do remember to press the bell icon so that you can get the updates ASAP. Saturn is a planet that talks about dedication, discipline, administration, hard work, and Saturn is also the Karaka for diseases. Saturn is also the Karaka for old people, employees, etc. When we talk about the 6th house in Hindi is known as Rog Ripu Rin, the house of Rog Ripu Rin. The diseases, the enemies, the debts a person can take. And it also talks about your health, your well-being. It talks about hard work and discipline as it comes under the Artha Trikona. Keeping all these in mind and using these significance, because we should not forget that when they talk about the house Karakas, Saturn is with Mars, rather Saturn shares the house Lord Karaka lordship of the 6th house. So Saturn in 6th house is quite strong. It also aspects the 8th house, it aspects the 12th house, it aspects the 3rd house, bringing in a lot of change. Such a Saturn during its period will bring in a lot of change. So let's talk about the patient planet Saturn. Saturn is a planet of patience and perseverance, and the 6th house shows a lot of hard work, a lot of patience and a lot of perseverance. Now, the 6th house, when Saturn is placed in the 6th house, it talks about work ethics. Saturn is all about karma. It is all about knowing how to do your work properly, and the 6th house Saturn talks about doing your work with ethics, ethically, and here the person would be bound by certain laws, certain governances, so that you do not overstep your boundary. The 6th house is the house of diseases, and Saturn is the Karaka of diseases also. It talks about the, if you are not disciplined in your habits, say food habits and your exercising and etc., then Saturn definitely is the Karaka of giving you problems with your health. So Saturn, when sitting in the 6th house, will give you chronic disorders because it is also aspecting the 8th house. And we can see that in the case of Rabindranath Tagore. He did have issues, health issues for a long period of time. He did have chronic disorders. Probably he did not have healthy food habits or did not eat food at the right time. Saturn is sitting in the 6th house. It is talking about the kind of help or kind of employees one may have, because the 6th house also talks about the kind of people you work with, and Saturn here shows the blue collared people. So you could be talking about the employees that you have who can be with you for a long period of time, because whatever Saturn does, it gets things slowly but very steadily and keeps them running for a long period of time. So such people will have friends, such people will have employees who would be with them for a long period of time. Again, when we talk about the enmity part of it, if a person is persistent in keeping up with the hard work that the 6th house so demands, and the Saturn as the Karaka again doubly so demands, then a person will realize that they are able to live up and they are able to maintain victory, they are able to have victory. Saturn does not give anything. I repeat, I am probably become one of my cliched statements, but that is the truth that I have seen in more than 22 plus years of my work in astrology, of my understanding of astrology, that Saturn does not give anything easily. So what Saturn does is tells you to work hard, and be persistent. And if you're persistent, you have undergone such a lot of finesse that you now know how to overcome your enemies. So Saturn here in the 6th house does give one over their enemies. But when it comes to debt and litigation, I should like to inform you that I would like to inform you that, you know, if you have Saturn in the 6th house, or even if Saturn is transiting through your 6th house, if you if you want to make any litigation, if you want to, you know, file any litigation, it will be a long drawn process. You should be patient, because Saturn here is trying to teach you patience about litigation. Similarly, for debts, you should not be taking any debts, because they will take a lot of time to be paid. Saturn does not do anything in a short period, it does everything over a long period of time. So one should realize that if you are taking a debt, it should be a debt that should be spread over a long period of time, and then Saturn will help you pay it. But if it's something which is less than a decade, Saturn is just not interested. Sitting in the 6th house, which is the house of service and which is the house of routine work, it is a house of what you do daily, okay, be it your health regime of exercise, be it of eating the right kind of food, be it going to office or work on a regular basis. Saturn here makes sure you do all these things at a very regular pace and earn that name and fame and things that you so require. And it also gives you the courage, because it's also looking at the 3rd house. I'm just taking one chart here. I'm taking the chart of Rabindranath Tagore. Rabindranath Tagore, we all know, and this is one of my favorite charts, so I use it a lot, but I would say that his Saturn is in the 6th house. We talked about disease. We know that he had a lot of disease, and it was due to his heart trouble that he passed away. Anyways, we know everybody goes, but then he had been under a lot of disease and depression, because the 8th house that he aspects also gives him that depression. And also I'd like to add that he was very hardworking till the last few years of his life. He was working very hard to make sure that things were running smooth for all his endeavors. Victory over enemies. I have used the Jallianwala Bagh incident many a times with respect to Rabindranath Tagore, so here I am not going to repeat it again, but that holds true. And it also, all these things also hold true for Nutan. Again, she had her Saturn, or rather in her chart, Saturn is placed in the 6th house. She started off as a very frail child, and because she did not keep well earlier on and things like that, but later on she did good for herself. And when we talk about one up over her enemies, 6th house being the house of competition, of her age, she was the only actress to have won the maximum amount of Filmfare Awards. The others simply could not compete with her. So the 6th house, if Saturn is sitting there and you're working dedicatedly, you win over your competitions hands down. So when you look at the placement of Saturn in the 6th house, it's not all gloom and doom. It requires you to work hard, and if you put in that right kind of effort, you will go places. Till we meet with you again, stay safe.
Please hit the bell icon for fresh updates. Don't forget to like, share and comment on the videos, and please subscribe to our channel.